What is up, Serie A and Stoppage Time fans? This is a very special edition of Stoppage Time with myself, Cliff, and my wonderful co-host Lex from All Juve Cast, and a very good friend of mine, my buddy Wayne from Wayne in Rome. He also is now working at the well-esteemed CBS with all of the Serie A content you could want. So Wayne, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
What up? What up? It's cool to be chatting with two Juventini. So I'm interested to see where these conversations lead us.
Oh, well, we'll try to keep it non-Juve related. We'll try to keep it very much Roma related because we had an insanely good match this weekend. We actually had on Sunday. I had a Lazio fan on, Sean McIntosh, who's very gracious, having him on right after the loss. But I'm assuming the energy is going to be a lot more happy and a lot more enjoyable because obviously you guys won this one big. So let me take everybody through the game real quick. If you didn't already know, really the rundown was the first goal came from Tammy Abraham off his thigh on a first-minute corner. That ricocheted off the crossbar to Tammy. Went in a little bit lucky, but great start for Roma. And the second one, 21st minute, a phenomenal run from Tammy on the back post. And he takes a one-time volley on the run, makes it 2-0, no doubt about it. Then the third one, we got a class goal from Pellegrini, and then the man himself, Totti, looking down at him and couldn't even crack a smile for the man. I mean, I was like, what does he need to do to make Totti happy? I mean, that was a gem of a free kick. And then Lazio just couldn't get anything together, but it was all Roma all the time. So Wayne, on that match, give us a few of your quick notes on that match. What did you think of it?
I thought to start off, like 10 out of 10 performance. Every single player showed up. That hasn't always been the case with Roma this season, but in their biggest, most important match of the season thus far, they come out and they whoop serious butt, man. That's mentality. That's knowing that from the first second the ball moves off the halfway mark, that it's game time and it's time to show up. And that's a problem that Roma has had for years is playing 70 minutes and forgetting about the 20, and they lose during that 20, right? But in this sense, in this match, it was so imperative that they went out and they took the game to Lazio because this team does look more comfortable when they are in control, whether it's you don't necessarily have to be in control offensively, but when they have everything working, when they know what they're going to do, when they feel comfortable, Roma is a deadly. It's a very dangerous team. So to see them put that to fruition against Lazio and look so comfortable in doing so, and that every player knew what their role was and their mission was on the night, they came up. It reminds me of the memes. Like there's a way on the internet people would say like, "Oh, he understood the mission." Roma understood the mission. I mean, the
They
first
understood the
minute,
assignment. They
they
understood
understood
the
the
assignment.
assignment. That's it. You're a bit more hip than I am, Cliff. They understood the assignment, which Mourinho wanted them to
Mhm.
do. And I think this finally, you see it pay off for Roma, where they've invested so much time and let's face it, money in Mourinho.
Mhm.
And the ownership is serious. Everyone they've brought in is serious. It's not a organization that's afraid to fire people. I know many people, unfortunately, personally as well, who have faced the axe because they're just not part of the project. And sometimes you cut off the fat and pick and choose your pieces. And that's all part of what it really means to be a project. So hopefully going into the second season, they're not going to get into the Champions League this season. It's not going to happen. Juventus is too strong. And then going into next season, though, I think if they make a couple changes, to me, that's like you asked the original question is, what are some of your notes? To me, it's like I think long term, and I think going into the summer, that finally they understand what really needs to get done, where the money needs to be spent the best, and the areas that are vital under Mourinho's play into getting this team to be a serious contender that can face any team. Because I think that what I learned most of all on Sunday was that this team can face anyone and beat them, and I think that's a scary thing for the rest of the league.
Understood the assignment. Writing in my Saudi notes right here. Um, but yeah, that's really good insight. And I want to talk about one of the men who was crucial to this win, Pellegrini. I want to ask a couple questions on him. First, this is a double part question. what do you value Pellegrini at right now? And is he untouchable for you? And then after that, how crucial is Pellegrini on Roma, and should he start for the Azzurri?
Hmm. So his valuation,
Yeah, like what do you think his true value is in terms of the market?
look at an attacking midfielder. Before he got hurt, he was making first or second with most chances created in the league. So to compare it to some of the best players that have come and gone and have been sold, trying to think recently, like attacking mids, I think it's got to be somewhere between like 45 to 65. He's on a pretty decent contract.
Um,
And with that, teams are not usually willing to pay as much because they're going to have to match it. So it's somewhere around 50 probably. You could make a safe bet. It's not an astronomical figure. It's not a Grealish number like what you
well,
saw
we know
when
how
City.
Grealish has turned out.
Yeah, which is crazy, right? But it's not some astronomical figure. But what he means to this team, is he unsellable? I have to think so because in Rome, it matters so much of where the players are from, if they're part of the identity of the club, if they're from Rome itself, because they also feel tied to it. These kids, they grow up wanting to be the captain of Rome, not just wanting but dreaming, and it's so above and beyond what's realistic that when they get the chance, these players typically don't leave. You see Florenzi, but he's a unique situation where he was just not the same player after his ACL injuries. Um, for the Azzurri, I think he should get a sniff on the field. I don't see why not, especially with Barella looking as tired as he has. Pellegrini adds a lot to the attack. He's athletic most of the time. He can make a deadly ball, and I don't mean a free kick, but the passes as well. He can play the ball forward. He wants to advance it. When you saw him at Sassuolo, is that he knows he's not just a libero that just runs all over the field, but he can fit into a schematic, into the tactics. So if that's something Mancini wants to use him in the 4-3-3, it's something that he has done before. So I think that he has earned a little bit more playing time based upon his recent form as well as his earlier form this season.
Yeah, I think that's a great wrap up to that. And quickly on that note, I think you put it perfectly. I think Barella is the man out who is out of form right now, and I think if you were to replace him, it would be Pellegrini because he's a free kick specialist. He's great on free kicks, great at picking out a great pass, and he's so versatile. You could put him at any position in the midfield, and not to mention he's played winger before, so he can do many different positions.
Yeah, he plays like this hybrid winger where
Mm-hmm.
on paper it does look like a 4-3-3 where he's on the left. But then essentially what he does is he becomes a trequartista and
Yeah.
he'll slide in behind the two because they shift. So
Yep.
instead of starting off like this, it slowly
He'll
becomes
shift in. Yeah.
like that when they have possession or when there's a counter attack.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be interesting to see what Mancini does, especially knowing that Italy is going to keep possession against Northern Macedonia. I would think Tonali or Locatelli would be my number one to start. But if they are going to keep possession, they need a goal. I think Pellegrini could come in as
Mm-hmm.
that guy on the right side of Mancini's trident in midfield.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Um, and then I think Lex, is there anything you want to ask Wayne?
So I wanted to get your thoughts on the Mourinho situation. So for you, is Mourinho the guy for at least the next 2 seasons? How long do you see him staying around?
Alexa, he's on a 3-year contract, so this is the first of the three. And I do definitely see him lasting the next two. Roma's in a position where they're fully backing him. We're seeing it pay dividends. And they wanted to stop, I believe, that ownership wanted to stop this merry-go-round of a new coach coming in every other season. Oh, well, he's not doing so good right now. Just get rid of him, because that revolving door has been the policy for about the past 20 years in Rome, and it hasn't worked out. So for better or worse, I think what they're thinking is that you back him regardless, because you look at his resume, it's clearly a coach who knows how to win. He's won virtually everything under the sun. So if you're going to say that there's something wrong with Mourinho, it could be true, but you give that person the benefit of the doubt. You allow them to correct their mistakes based on their CV and their resume, and you keep supporting them through players, through emotional support through just not bashing them in the media, not allowing things to get out into the news, no riffs, right? It has to stay within the family. And I think that just from what I've seen so far and the way that this ownership does business is something that they're intent to keep on doing, is supplying him, getting him what he needs, because he's doing good. He's trying to change the mentality, the identity of this team and of this city, where often the fans have been just too critical. There's been too much pressure where the expectations are above the reality, above the quality of players that are there. It's something that Milan fans will understand for the past 10 years, or Inter fans throughout times in their history, or take any team that really wants to grow, but the fan base just puts on these expectations, and it's not always realistic based on the personnel that you have. And that is not, it's never more true than in Rome, because it's a football city. It's not an industrial powerhouse like Torino and Milan. They don't have the revenues to match, but the fans are still hungry and still have that sense of pride because of what Rome means to ancient times and throughout modern day. So there's a real proudness that comes along with those expectations. And they're right to feel it. Who's to say they're not? But to Alexa, to get back to your question, I totally believe that everyone is behind Mourinho. And it doesn't mean that at times they haven't called into question, why does this team look unorganized? Why are we finding a solution to beat teams like Udinese or whatever smaller team it is? But for better or worse, everyone is behind Mourinho.
I love the romantic way you speak about Roma being a footballing city. And I just got to ask you, so you spoke about Mourinho kind of being that role that's going to change the mentality in the club. Do you see Mourinho as more of a long-term fix, so someone who's going to set this standard for the club, or do you see him bringing more immediate success and trophies to the club?
By the time that he leaves, let's say a little over 2 years from now, I really do, that something does change permanently, that this is not just a vacation spot. It's not a place where players come just to get big wages who only deserve medium wages. So I'm hoping that's one thing that is set by the precedent, and that will transpire onto the players, who will then transpire it onto the younger group, and it'll become a theme. And then all of a sudden, after long periods of time, that theme becomes an ethos, and then it's part of the club and what it really means. And that this is something different. This is not Roma of 2010, whatever it is, right? But it's something that really means something deep down, and values, I think is the word I've been looking for, is something that's really hard to change. But who better than him, and who better than a serious ownership to say it stops, now we start something completely new?
It's a great question. That's a really great question, Lex, and that was a great response on Mourinho, because I've also thought about how long does it stay? I'm hoping it's a long-term stint, because I think he's the coach to turn Roma's fortunes around.
Yeah, I would love it if after 2 years, Mourinho goes off into the sunset and we have a team fighting in the Champions League. Roma has a team fighting in the Champions League. I don't play. Unfortunately, I'm not the number 10 of Roma. And then maybe someone like Vincenzo Italiano comes in, a guy who plays
No. He's Juve's coach, Wayne. You can have De Zerbi. He's Juve's manager.
That's our coach, Wayne.
I don't think that would really work out for Juventus. I don't know why. I feel like
I don't know why. I see De Zerbi going to Roma. I don't know why. I just see that happening.
See, but that would be counter to the tactics they're playing now, which is why I think Italiano in 2 years picks up, because he plays a low block with his defenders. He has his defensive midfielder right now, Torreira, who's extremely good at what he does. He gets the ball out quickly to his wings, and the center forward, compared to someone like Tammy, who checks back and does a lot of work in the center of the pitch, his striker just has to get into the box and to finish. So it's a little different. It's the way that it works, and the philosophy is slightly different, but it's still a start from the back, counterattack quickly, know exactly what you're going to do with the ball type of game, which is why I think that he suits, to be fair, he could suit Juventus just as well, coming off of Allegri's ball, which to me is just, it's not the best to watch. But
no, it is not. We suffer every weekend watching him him coach this team. But as everybody can see, Wayne is a student of the game, and that's why we have him on. He has such great insight onto these things. And another question, we had a fan question. Jorge Zemet, I think it was. I hope I pronounced your name right. Please don't be mad at me. He said, how do you think the Roma project fares in comparison to those around them? Atalanta, Lazio, Fiorentina. How do you judge Mourinho's first season at the club so far? Is his second question.
I look at Atalanta. I see a very good project because of their stadium, because of Sartori, their director of sport. He's done a really good job at backing Gasperini and the players that he needs to play in his 3-4-2-1, which is a crazy type of formation. Is very different from anything that I've ever seen. It's a good project. It's one that could have really benefited by like a major signing, I think, and they could have gone on to win the Scudetto. And they'll be a team that hovers now around the Europa Leagues. I think they really benefited from some sweet deals with Ilicic and Gomez. If you look back 2 years ago, right, they're phenomenal. But I do think they punched above their weight because they had a really good coach, and also because they took advantage of some really unique and rare opportunities to get two of the best attackers in the game. So it's different in that sense because Roma's, I think the ambitions are a little bit higher. I don't see the Friedkins buying Roma for the price they did and the spotlight that comes with it, and not want to set and saying like, I don't want second place, I don't want first place. I think the project is bigger. I think eventually you'll see stadium news come into the frame, something much bigger, maybe even developments at the training grounds or whatever it is, but overall big long-term investment. Whereas Atalanta's is like this finely tuned machine, but there's only so big that it can get in Bergamo compared to Rome, where it's like the sky is the limit. Your commercial market is tremendous. It's, I think, the biggest, if not, it's either Milan or Rome, which, the commercial market being able to grasp as many people as you can. And there's no competition in Rome. It's not like there's Broadway or there's the Statue of Liberty. You do have the ancient monuments, but that doesn't compete in a sporting sense. So everybody in Rome supports this team. So your market pool is so capitalized, right? Yeah. And what you can do with that, you could build a Champions League stadium, one that's 65,000, 70,000 plus, and get naming rights, which are going to be an international brand, like take whatever brand you want, Verizon, for instance, or who's like a big brand in Italy right now, like an insurance company, or I think the one for the Clippers was 25 million a year, and that was a digital currency, if I'm not wrong, a bank, whatever it is. But there's so much more potential in Rome that I think the project has so much more of an upside. And where they are now for Mourinho is okay. As far as the standings go, what I'm more proud about is what they showed against Lazio. This uniformity, this understanding of the tactics, knowing where to be, discovering a place for a player that we thought was going to be on the outs with Mkhitaryan. Every football fan laughed and was like, oh, Mkhitaryan's done now because Jose's coming, right? Because of their relationship at Manchester United. And he found a place for him, and he reinvented his role. And now a player who looked like he was going to leave Rome is probably going to sign another 2-year contract with them. And he's been massive. For me, he's typically Roma's player with the most quality on the pitch. And I think a month ago, I remember like someone quote tweeted something I said like that. They're like, what are you talking about? Ha ha. And, people liked it. And I was like, yeah, you'll see. And now, what do you know?
He's playing great.
He's great.
Doing great stuff.
He's this regista that no one thought he could be. But as he gets older, it's such a position that suits him. He's smart. He still works his tail off. So I am happy to see what this project looks like at this point in time.
This leads pretty well into our next question. That was another fan question from Michael Scott, who asked, what do you think Sarri could have done differently to win this match or have a better chance at it because Roma were the better team right from the start to the finish?
You have to utilize your strengths, right? And there had to be something for Immobile because he had one chance. He was completely pocketed by Roma's defense. So getting him the ball, if Sarri looks at his game and he says, "My striker's not getting the ball," well, figure out a way, bud. You're an incredible coach. You can figure out how to get your striker more involved. If he's limited, well, that's a shame, but it's your job ultimately to find a place for somebody who was leading and still is leading, I believe, the Capocannoniere charts. I think he's 21 or 22, something like that, and to figure out a way to get him the ball because he had one strike. It was a header in the 83rd minute, and that was it. That's it. Milinkovic-Savic, your other top, probably the best player on that team, did nothing. So figure out a way to get these guys, if it's motivational, tactical, emotional, and getting them really into the game, something to fire them up. Luis Alberto, these guys were, it wasn't good. They were shell shocked. I don't like to use that word because I teach history, but anyway, it was crazy, man, to see them just look so flat. Lazio, a team that was so fired up for the first leg of this in September. So nuts to see Lazio so flat. Sarri's got to ask himself some questions, and I don't really see him staying there all that long.
That's a great point. That was a great question from Michael Scott.
Good question.
I'm writing in my notebook, my Sarri notebook, and also you mentioned. We're going to say this, a quick note. One of Alexa's favorite players, Luis Alberto, you mentioned. She's a big fan of his. She is trying to lobby for him to go to Juve, which I'm like, no. We don't want
to. I got so excited when he was linked to Juve, I think a couple months ago.
I don't think he's good enough, unfortunately, for what Juventus wants to do. He could be a rotational player, but he might come on a heavy salary. I could see him go to Spain. Maybe that would fit, like a Sevilla.
I think too, 100%. Sevilla, I was going to say, yeah. I might have to start watching La Liga with Papu Gomez there now. I think Dybala's going to go there, Luis Alberto.
I wonder. I love Spanish football, so I just think that he would benefit from it.
And I was going to say, this is a little bit off topic before we get to our last question, because I know Wayne's got to go. But I was going to say, one of my notes was that I watched El Clasico this weekend. It was so exciting. Well, not for Real Madrid, but for Barca, it was very exciting. It was a great match, and I like Spanish football because it's similar to Serie A in terms of the play style, very methodical build-up. So it's good. And we got one last question from our boy Lou from All Juve Cast. He asks, and you mentioned the owners earlier, Roma's owners and Mourinho have talked about trying to make Rome an attractive city to players and projects. Do you see the early seeds of this, or is this just the usual smoke and mirrors from Roma?
I think what comes with being an attractive place is having a healthy organization from top to bottom. Imagine this, right? The player that you want walks into the room with you as the director of sport and the owner, right? What are you going to say? How are you going to persuade the next Vlahovic or Paul Pogba? What do you say to them? You show that you're serious. You show that you want to win trophies, and that they're going to be building something big year after year. Make it tangible, And I think that if that's happening, which I believe it is, because a player like Tammy Abraham never would have signed if it wasn't the case, then that's a great thing. It's a very good thing, and I think it's important to the best players. If you think of Delete, right? When he signed over from Ajax, they didn't just say, "Oh, we're Juventus." No, they proposed a plan to him, right? And they said, "You're going to learn from Bonucci, Chiellini, and Barzagli," who was still there at the time, and you are going to learn from the best guys. So you're going to play your total football Dutch style with, used a good word there, Cliff, this methodical, Italian, tactical, and you're going to be morphed into the ultimate center back, right? So you have to have a pitch in order to get these good players. So just to answer that question, I do think that Rome is an attractive destination now. If you get a player to buy into that, and I think that it's a smart career choice for somebody up and coming, somebody in the middle of their career, it's a great destination. What you don't want to do is sell it on the sun, the beach, the nightlife, because Romans they're done with that. They need footballers. So
yeah, and I did want to say, before the season, I did have Roma making my top 6. So Hopefully you'll appreciate that from me.
Yeah, they'll be top 6 for sure because Lazio is not going to keep hanging out.
Yeah.
It's going to be between them and Atalanta, who gets 5th and 6th.
Do you think Fiorentina have a chance?
No, just because Roma looks strong right now, Atalanta is a better team than Fiorentina. I would like to see Fiorentina grab 7th, and if they could do that and get into the Conference League next season, that would be pretty cool. It's been a while since we've seen Fiorentina do decent in European play, so I think that would be something I would look forward to. I would love to see like Fiorentina in the depths of Bulgaria or Finland or just some random destination. The Faroe Islands. Who knows?
Oh my gosh, that'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
That's awesome.
I've told you I studied in Florence for a semester.
Yeah, you told me. That's awesome. Like that's such a beautiful city I hear, and that's one of the #1 destinations I want to go.
Yes. And it's an incredible city. I mean, it's like you appreciate artwork, but even if you don't, even if you just like chilling by the river, taking lovely sunset walks, it's drinking a little wine, man. There's nothing better.
You're singing my tune. You're singing my tune right now.
The lights hit off the water of the river and they just glisten, and you feel happy in your soul.
That's awesome. Which city you like more? Roma? Last question. Rome or Florence?
We have time. It's okay. Don't feel
Okay.
feel right. My fiance is not gonna smack me around too much.
Okay.
Which one did you say?
Florence or Rome? Which city you taking?
For what?
Just in general, which one you taking? I'm putting
In
you on
general,
the spot.
like like if I threw a dart.
Wayne and Florence.
I need to know which city has your heart.
So part of my heart is definitely in
No,
Florence.
not part of your heart, your whole heart. Which one is it?
Rome. And I tell you why. Because
Good answer.
Because one of the reasons why I became a Roma fan is because I'm from New York, and the way that I identify with my city of where I grew up and my roots, because my background is like pan-Southern Italian, is that I look at Rome as the brother of where I grew up, and also like the fatherland of where my family's from, in a way, even though it's Southern Italian. Like Sicilians were the breadbasket for the Roman Empire. They went through Calabria and Apulia and Bari and places like that. So I never identified with Torino or Milan, or it wasn't relevant to me. Rome was always the city that I looked up to and felt that there was this fraternity between my home, where my heart is. I love New York to death, and Rome is the original New York, or New York is the new Rome.
I like that.
Cool.
I like that. That's cheeky. That's cheeky from Wayne. I like it on the show.
I will tell you that Florence, though, I have great friends. I've spent so much time there, much more time in Florence than I have in Rome, and it's a small city. You get to know everybody. You get to see everyone. It becomes like a little bit like high school, though. Like if you stick around your hometown, you start running into the same people. Florence is definitely like that. So vacationing there and living there are two different things. Mm-hmm. So like if we moved, because I had we were thinking of moving to Rome last year, my fiance and I, about a potential job. I would move to either city, but I mean, to be in Rome is like it's not that you get tired of Florence, but like you get there and then eventually you're like, you get mesmerized the same way that people do by New York, once again, and it traps you and you're like, there's so much to see, so much to do. Every night there's something different. It's not that you go to the same clubs like you do in Florence. There's 3 clubs that everyone goes to, right? No. Rome is pandemonium. That's and awesome. It's the vicoli, the alleyways, right? Which you could slide off into one. You find this club, you walk down a staircase, and suddenly it's freaking ancient Roman mosaics and columns, and you're in a nightclub, and it's crazy. So like there's nowhere. It's also diverse. Like Rome is a multicultural city, so it's just it's its own thing. It's to be lived and experienced. If anyone has ever seen Anthony Bourdain's Parts Unknown on CNN, it's also on HBO Max.
Mhm.
you can watch it. It's all in black and white. He did a special episode. I think it was Parts Unknown and not No Reservations. And you'll see just why Rome is like eternal.
Yeah, I love the way you speak about the city. It's just such a beautiful thing to see you beam about Rome. And I forget what the name of the show was. I can't believe I'm forgetting it, but the show with Stanley Tucci when he goes around
Yeah,
searching
it's like
for Italy.
discovering Italy or something.
Searching for Italy. It is an amazing show. When he goes, every city he goes to, it makes me like I was brought to tears looking at all of these places because it's just so beautiful. And the culture, the people, the food, it's just so amazing. And then when I saw
Yeah.
Rome, I'm like, this place is amazing.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. But going back to the football, I'm sorry I digress, but there's a player that Lex and I know very well who's been known to be linked to Juventus recently, a boy named Nicolo Zenyolo. What are your thoughts? Do you think he leaves Roma this summer, or do you think he stays?
I think it's too early to say. I want to see what happens with the contract renewal. His contract expires in a year and 3 months, so that's going to be determinant on not only the value, but if he stays or if he's going to go. I could see him go to Juventus. I've seen many players in the past go from Rome, from Florence, Milan to Juventus and go on to have pretty stellar careers. I'm not sure why Juventus would really want a player who's scored 2 goals this past year. But maybe they see what I see, which is a player that always wants the ball, is impact. Whenever he steps on the pitch, he's doing something creative, productive. He's getting involved in the play. And sometimes, it's not just stats. Like part of my job for CBS is just running stats. But there's something to be said for the eye test. And Zaniolo is truly a player that doesn't have the stats, but when you look at him, you're like, yo, this kid's a baller. Like, put him on the pitch. He's going to do something special. Get him next to, in the final third. Let him run at defenders. He had, I guess I am using a stat. He was just behind Leao for the most completed 1v1s in Serie A up until recently. So he's a great player, man. I would be really sad. I think something I would want to do is get him one more season and then give him the number 10 if he's putting up numbers for Roma. But, every player has a price unless you're one of the few clubs, like if you're Real Madrid or PSG, Manchester City, then you can't say that this couldn't happen. That's delusional because often, too often, people have seen their favorite player go and they're like, how could they? Like, because.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because Juventus just lost one of their best players, as me and Lex both know. We just lost Dybala. Do you think, not like pound for pound because they're different size and stuff, but play style wise, do you think it would be, if you were to go to Juventus, do you think it would be a like for like switch in terms of what they bring to the team?
Dybala's a bit more suave.
He is. He's a little bit more smooth on the ball.
Yeah. Whereas Zaniolo is like this horse who's run off the tracks, and you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know where he's going to go. With Dybala, he like works his way into goal. Whereas Zaniolo, he sometimes doesn't make the correct decision, whereas Dybala does. He's also younger. He's in the middle of his career. He's got 100 miles on his legs, hundreds and hundreds, right? So Zaniolo is raw, whereas Dybala is the finished product. Even if he plays half the season, right? You should know what you're going to get as far as the talent level that you have on the pitch and what he brings to it every game. With Zaniolo, there's still some unpredictability. If I'm Juventus, I don't think I look at Zaniolo. I think Salah is a possibility I saw today if they want to splash the cash.
No way. I still think it's delusional. I think it's out of reach.
Here's the thing. Juventus invent money. So when they wanted Vlahovic, they got a cash injection from their shareholders.
They did.
Bro, that's not a typical thing where they just get
legal.
Guess how much they got?
It was like what, 200 million?
They got 70, the exact same price that they paid for Vlahovic. So what's going on here? I don't think it takes a wizard to see beyond the lines and see what's going on. Agnelli or whoever's pulling the strings for them said, we need this money, we need this player. Get it, pump it in, shareholders, who is all like and related parties, and they get their guy. So, but I overall think that Juventus are much better off with Vlahovic than they are with Dybala. If you had to pick one and say, I'm going to center this team that I'm going to have as a Champions League constant, I'm going to base it off of Vlahovic first and not Dybala if I'm going to choose one of them and pay either one crazy wages. So Juventus definitely made the right choice. It's unfortunate that he's going to walk away for free, but it sometimes happens, and sometimes you just bite it. You take it on the chin. And it's unfortunate.
We see it happening all over the league too. We see Milan losing Calcio for free. We see a bunch of players losing for free. It happens.
It happens.
Yeah, but
they gave him a shot. They gave him a possibility to go on and be the captain and stay fit, score a ton of goals, make this team his, right? And I think that was a risk worth taking. Hindsight is 2020, right? But they did the smartest choice, which was to give him that chance. It didn't pay off, but you move on.
It is what it is. But I want to ask my co-host, because we're already on the subject, and I know she's talked ad nauseum about this topic with Pepe last night on his show. But Lex, going off of 2 points, Wayne said Vlahovic over Dybala. First, is that the case for you? Would you say it's Vlahovic over Dybala, or would you have went with Dybala over Vlahovic?
No, I agree. Like, if we're talking about like a center of the project, Wayne did a great job of summarizing it. Like, you're gonna go with that younger star, best striker in the league that you just bought, your $70 million striker. Unfortunately, the timing in Dybala's injuries and the way those last 2 seasons went, and the fact that he's 28 now, I think like all those factors came into play, and it's unfortunate to see. And as Wayne mentioned, he did have his chance to take it and make this team his. And whether or not you think he did that or didn't, you can argue. But yeah, it's unfortunate. It's sad. It's always hard to lose like your favorite player.
Yeah. And then second question, would you want Zenyolo at Juventus? Yes or no? Quick answer, yes or no?
Yeah, I like Zenyolo. I know there's a lot of people that don't. I see, like, as you've mentioned, I really liked what Wayne said about him being like less polished version of Dybala. I love those types of players. I do. I have a soft spot for that style of player. I really like Zenyolo, and I think it's important to, like Wayne pointed out about the eye test, or the fact that just impact on the field, and sometimes stats don't cover that, right? And so I think that but the only thing that I would say is that I wouldn't want him in exchange for Dybala, because like if we're looking, he does have quite the injury list, right? So you're taking on a risk by taking on Zenyolo. But if we're looking at like player style, is he someone that I would be interested in pursuing now? I would say yeah.
For me personally, and we'll kind of leave this with the Juventus talk. This will be the last Juventus talk. I think what we need is a left winger. We don't need a guy who essentially I think is best as a cam center attacking mid. I don't think he really should be playing on the wing. I don't think that's what suits his play style best. I honestly think that we should go after a guy named Terrier in the Ligue 1. I think he'd be a great left winger for Juventus. He has 16 goals in the league right now. But that's my last spiel on Juventus. And Wayne, I want to thank you so much for your time. How much time you got left?
I'm going to split in like 2.
Okay.
I'm gonna get ready for tomorrow because I gotta leave my house at 6:20.
Awesome.
I've been grinding. I cooked dinner. I went food shopping today. I drove home.
I love it.
I'm on my grind.
For dinner?
I went to Trader Joe's and I got these chicken tenders and I put a bunch of garlic salt and pepper and Italian herbs and made like kind of like a little base to it, on both sides, fresh chicken.
Yeah.
And then I made these lentil pasta with an arrabbiata sauce. Yeah, I wouldn't go for the lentil again. For me, it wasn't great, but the sauce held it over. And then I also put shishito peppers on skewers, and I put that with the chicken on the grill. I grilled that up real nice. Was outside a little bit because the weather was decent in Jersey City. And now I'm unwinding. And tomorrow's another day.
I love the cooking. We got to get a cooking show with Cliff going. Al, let's make it happen. Let's do a cooking show because I'll talk about my signature bison pasta bolognese. That's my signature dish now. I made that the other night. But last question I want to ask you on football. What's your top 6 look like? What is it going to end like for you?
It's going to end Milan, and they're going to take the Scudetto. and then it's going to be Napoli. Inter will finish. Ooh.
Be careful what you say. You got two
I don't know.
Juventini
I
here.
don't know. I think maybe Inter finished second and Napoli finished third. And Juventus definitely finished fourth.
Okay.
Roma finished fifth. Atalanta sixth. Fiorentina seventh. Lazio eighth.
Nice. The
I know
only
you said your
difference I
top
would,
six. I'm sorry.
the only thing I would change is Napoli first, Milan second, Inter third.
I would love for Napoli to win, so I hope you're right.
My family is Napolitan, so they will go crazy. I won't be happy, but I'll be happy for them. So that's all that matters. But Wayne, I want to thank you so much for taking the time, my friend. It's always a pleasure to have you on, and we'll hope to have you back on soon.
Alexa,
Thank
Cliff,
you so much.
thank you guys. Best of luck. Very cool show. I love that you guys have, only good things are going to come your way. So keep enjoying it. Keep doing a great job. I love it.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much, and have a good night.
Peace.
See ya. Awesome. What a great guy that we had on. And
Wow,
Lex, I guess
Wayne's awesome.
Yeah, so I guess we'll unravel some of these points he made. First of all, who are we'll talk from a Juventus standpoint quickly. Who are some players you'd want to poach from this team on Roma's team right now?
Ooh, right now.
Pellegrini's got to be one.
I was just going to say Pellegrini. First of all, we need someone who can take free kicks. So
yes, because we don't have the ball anymore.
Yeah, Vlahovic looks pretty good at his free kicks too, but
Yeah.
I will say I would like to have Pellegrini. I really like Pellegrini. I think that would be someone I would definitely poach. What do you say, Cliff?
Definitely Pellegrini is my first pick, just from the fact that he's such a great distributor. He's really good at taking a shot first time, and he's really good at free kicks. You have him taking the right swinging free kicks, and then you have Vlahovic taking the left. I mean, that would be great. That would be awesome. He's just such a good presence. He wouldn't be, I think, the captain of Juventus if he was on the team, but he has that type of presence to him. And I think that would be a great leader to have on Juventus' team. And honestly, if we can't get Milinkovic-Savic, that would be someone who I'd be willing to spend 50, 55 million for, because he's just such a great player, and he's still young. I think he's 25 or 26. So he's still got plenty of years in him. We also mentioned the upcoming match, Northern Macedonia against Italy. I guess we have to address that because that's coming up in 2 days.
Yeah.
How nervous are you about this game?
I'm nervous. I am nervous. I don't know if it's maybe some PTSD from the Sweden game, but it's frustrating because we had the opportunity to put it away. We should not have gotten ourselves into this position, and I get a little bit nervy. You were talking about it on Bepe's Live last night as well with Italy's track record against, on paper weaker teams as well. I'm just hoping that they can get the job done because it's North Macedonia. Hopefully we can take care of that, move on one step at a time. How do you feel about it, Cliff?
Well, I'm just hoping Napoli's Elmas doesn't dominate us in this game because he's a skillful player. But really, it's just him and Pendev, from what I know. Those are really the two players that stick out to me. Obviously, we know Serie A best, so those are the two players that I could pinpoint that really worry me the most. But looking at the lineup that's been predicted, I really think we should be winning this game 3-1 or 3-0. We should be winning this game very soundly. We should be on to Portugal. Hopefully, we get Turkey because we demolished them last time we played them. So hopefully we get them, but we'll see. Either team, Portugal, they're missing 3 of their key players against Turkey. I think they're missing Ruben Diaz. Who else? I think their midfielder from Lille, Renato Sanchez, and I think they're missing one other. So they're missing some key players, so that could be huge for them. We'll see what happens. Who do you think is going to be the key player in that match for Italy?
In the North Macedonia match?
Yes.
Ooh. I think whoever's our 9.
So Ciro Immobile.
Yes.
I think this is a great chance, though, to play Scamacca because it is a quote-unquote lower-ranked team. I think you have the rest of your starters and you give Scamacca a chance.
Not right now.
He's been on fire, and arguably Ciro has a very bad track record as the starting striker, and God knows Belotti's not playing. So it's either between Ciro or unless Balotelli makes a triumphant for return. No, I'm just kidding. Not happening. So it's Scamacca or Ciro Immobile. Who would you go with?
Oh, that's a tough question. I mean,
This is why they pay me the big bucks. I asked the good questions.
right? I mean, I would love to see Scamacca get a chance just because fresh blood, get someone who's hot right now, who's got something to prove. But it's also the argument with Immobile as well. I'm pretty sure he was injured, right? Last international break.
He was, yeah.
So, I mean, maybe he plays a bit more of a role that people don't give him enough credit for.
Maybe that's a really good.
So I don't know. Maybe you stick with what's reliable, right? So it's tough. I think definitely trying out Immobile, of course, but like you've got Scamacca there too. So I wouldn't want to be Mancini.
Yeah, it's a really tough one right now, and like I said, like we don't have any more Serie A content except for the Dybala news, which we've talked at nauseum. So I don't really want to rehash that. So I guess we'll probably just for the rest of the show be talking about this match. Who would you line up with? Would you do the standard 4-3-3, or would you try something? Well, I mean, I'm assuming you wouldn't try something different in this big of a match.
Yeah, classic 4-3-3. Go for that. I'm playing Locatelli in the midfield. Nice. Yeah, that's definitely. I would say just stick to what has worked. I think we're going to be missing Chiesa. Sucks. I think that's going to be a huge loss. As much as it was a loss for us at Juve, it's going to be for the Azzurri. I also think that Spinazzola too, not back yet to my knowledge, right?
Yeah, he's not back, and everybody was banking on him being back by this time. So it's a big letdown because we were kind of rooting for him to be back in time, and hopefully he'll be back. Well, so when's the second? Do you know when the second match we played, the final of the qualifiers of this playoff?
When is it?
Yeah, when is it going to be played?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, that's okay. I got you. I was trying to make you get something off the top of your head, quick thinking. But I think it's probably not going to be. Well, it's not going to be this international break, right? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So I think hopefully he'll be back by the time we play the match that we need to play. But obviously we have Berardi on one side. The other side, who plays that left wing? Is it Raspadori, or because he's been in good form, or do you play Bernardeschi?
Well, Berna's been out too. He's been injured. Hasn't gotten a lot of minutes with us recently.
Yeah.
I think Raspadori look good. The Sassuolo boys look good right now.
Yeah, they do. They're cooking.
Really good. Yeah.
So maybe this is a lot for
you go ahead, sorry.
No, I was gonna say it's a lot for Mancini to think about. Like you said, it's just a lot of decisions, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of like form. You have to really worry about form as well. Who's the hot hand? Are you gonna play some of the hot hands? Because Locatelli has been a little bit on and off. He just has COVID, so I don't know if he'll even be ready for the game. So I would assume in my mind, I think you have to go Verratti, Jorginho, and I think you go Pellegrini. If you really think Barella is the guy, I think you save him then for the big match, and you play Pellegrini in this one to see how he does. And if he outperforms what you expect, then you play him for the next one as well.
No, it's a good point for sure. I think like the important thing is Mancini just has to set up the team in the way that's best. That's going to get the job done now. So which players, well, he'll see at their practices and their training, which players are clicking, what players are hot right now and in form in the league. You go with those players and you basically we get this done because I don't know. I can't take missing another World Cup. I can't.
Well, at least you have Canada. I don't even know with the U.S. if we're going to get through. So we'll see. But I did want to ask you, what does that back line look like? Because Di Lorenzo is out injured. He got injured in the Napoli match. I don't know how much time he's missing, but if everybody's healthy, do you go Calabria or do you go Di Lorenzo in this one?
If everyone's healthy, I go with Di Lorenzo. I mean, I'm not sure what I did hear. He got injured though, so it depends on those status. But otherwise, I think I stick with that. How about you? What's your starting back lineup for this match?
Honestly, I don't even know who. I guess it's Emerson who has to play at left back, sadly. And then for the middle, I guess you go Bastoni and What others? Oh, I guess we got Mancini and Bastoni. So, and that's what's been projected. Um, that doesn't really give me a lot of confidence because Mancini's a hothead a lot of the time. Um, so he scares me because I feel like he's he could get a red card at any moment. And I am looking at this. He's out of the World Cup squad. Di Lorenzo. They brought in Di Sciglio. I hope Di Sciglio does not touch the pitch. Actually, I shouldn't say that. If I were to pick between Emerson and Di Sciglio, I might actually go towards Di Sciglio because he's a very good crosser of the ball.
Good for Calcio for getting
Yeah,
it in.
good for him. I think he can make a difference. Then Calabria. What's good about him is he's better going forward. He's better than Di Lorenzo going forward and providing to the attack, but he's a little bit not as much of like a gritty fighting player as Di Lorenzo is on the right back. So I think you might be missing some of that grinta and some of that defensive work rate, but he brings a lot on the attacking phase of the game. And then what do you think of those center backs? Are you a little bit worried with Mancini and Bastoni? That doesn't really give me a vote of confidence.
No, a little bit, I think. But I know like Bastoni in a back four. Well, I mean, it's what we have to work with. I think that we can still make it happen with that center back pairing. So gotta put some faith in Mancini that he's going to be making the right calls, and it's all we can do, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're gonna have to be doing a lot of praying. But in all seriousness, what do you got for score? Give me your final score for this match.
Well, I'm not touching any predictions. I didn't even do it on Beth's channel last night.
Okay, good, because I won't touch either then.
I'm not saying a word. I don't want to go there.
I like it, Lex. I like where you're going with this. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we wrap up the show?
No, that's pretty much it. Just the Dybala news that was the news of the week. It's sad.
Don't depress me, Lex. Don't depress me right at the end. I was feeling so good.
I know. It doesn't feel real to me yet. It doesn't feel real until I see him sign with another team and in another team's jerseys. I'm just gonna not believe it.
I think Atletico is the team that he ends up with. Personally, I agree. He has 100%. All his friends, 100%. I think all his Argentinian friends are there. Yep. He has a lot of familiarity with that type of play style.
Oh, yeah. He's going to Spain 1,000%. I've no doubt in
that. He's not going to Inter.
No, there's no way he's staying in Italy. He's won everything here. There's no way he's going to the Prem. He's going to Spain, 1,000%. He's going to La Liga. But it's. I mean, how do you think? I was going to ask you before we wrap up here. How do you think this plays out the rest of the season? We were discussing this last night. Do you think Dybala plays the rest of the season? Do you think he plays well enough to sell himself so he can make it to another big club, or do you think
he has to? I don't think he has a choice. I think if he throws in the towel and says, I'm saving myself for next season, I think that'd be a huge red flag for other teams. I think he's gonna do everything he can to tell Allegri, I've done my due diligence with this club. I've given you everything I can. Can you give me the respect of playing me the rest of the season so that I can, help, my potential suitors make an informed decision on my ability. And I think Allegri will give him the respect he deserves and let him, play as many matches as he can. And I think he'll end the season on a really positive note. And I think hopefully we can give him a nice reception or a good send-off in the last match because he's done a lot for this club. He's 28 going on 13. If you look at him, he's like me. He's got a babyface assassin face. So I can relate.
I mean, it's going to be so interesting. I'm really curious to see how this will all pan out. Is this new team he goes to, does he somehow refine his fitness and his form? Was it our medical staff? Is it, you know what I mean? Does he play in most of the games for that other team? Does he take a pivoted role? Does he succeed outside of Juve? Does his career decline outside of Juve? I just think that there's so many factors that'll play into how this all pans out, and I'm super curious to find out what happens.
And these are great questions that you could get the answers to on the next time of stoppage time. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, we'll be talking a lot about this when it happens next season. But thank you, Lex, for hopping on. It's always a pleasure, and thank you to our special guest Wayne. Also, go check out. I actually forgot to mention at the beginning of the show, we are sponsored by all Juve Cast. And also we are sponsored by Striped Hearts Apparel. I'm not wearing it right now. I wear it every day, so it's in the wash right now. So I'm always wearing my gear. But yeah, buonanotte. I hope everybody has a great night. I hope you guys enjoy this special interview of Stoppage Time. This should be coming out probably sometime Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday morning. So hope you guys enjoy the content. Everybody have a great rest of the night. See ya.